Hi, my name is Doombreaker. I'm a video editor here at DOS Reviews, and this is going to be our review of Final Fantasy XIII for the Xbox 360. Now, Final Fantasy has been a long time coming, from the showcase back in E3 in 2006 to the stunning reveal that it would be on the Xbox 360 a few years ago. Final Fantasy XIII has been through a roller coaster of development. True to Final Fantasy nature, 13 is unique in terms of story, characters, and the setting from all the previous games. Though the game exploration has been streamlined and a couple of other features that are normally in a Final Fantasy game are missing, the new combat system, soundtrack, and the general feel of the game makes Final Fantasy XIII one of the better Japanese RPGs of the past several years. In the true spirit of Final Fantasy, you get to explore a brand new world, interact with new characters, and have a new story. The world of Final Fantasy XIII takes place on Pulse, a lush planet that is seen as a wild and ravaged place, and is sealed off from the floating city of Cocoon. The main plot line is the fact that the people of Cocoon are worried about an invasion from the outside world of Pulse, in which they were at war at 1300 years ago. They decided to exterminate anything that has to do with Pulse and clean out Cocoon. Because of this, the military presence in Cocoon plays a large and important role in the overall story and the bad guys that you are against.
Does she look protected to you?
I can save her!
What can you possibly do?
Whatever it takes!
While playing the beginning of Lightning, Snow, and Sass's story, you're thrown into a huge battle for trying to save Lightning's sister and Snow's fiancée Sarah from being an Elsie. When that fails, you end up trying to kill the Fal'Cie that did this to her and end up failing in that as you are all turned into Elsie, which is where the magics and the summons come from. Because of this, they're all given a focus. Now, you're not really told what their focus is until towards the end of the game, but because it is a Final Fantasy game, there isn't very much surprise to it, as it's probably just saving the world. Because of the predictability, the all-around ending is very kind of bland and so Final Fantasy-ish that it's kind of not really new. However, there are plenty of moments that you get attached to the characters, and you feel very, very close to how they are feeling in those current moments. And Final Fantasy XIII is also not afraid to pull the heartstrings at any moment. The story for Final Fantasy XIII is generic in terms of how it's like every other game, but it does have a cool way of telling it through the cool cutscenes and the in-game fights. Now, the fighting system for Final Fantasy XIII is possibly the best thing about it. They wanted to make a system that was engaging and made you feel like you were watching movies like Final Fantasy Advent Children, and they very well did that. Some longtime fans of the series may be upset as you cannot control all of your party members at the same time, but it works great as you have to micromanage constantly between the different roles that they can have, either melee user, tank, healer, debuff, or spellcaster of your party, and what kinds of attacks they do while changing those roles. The new system also uses a heavily modified version of the active time battle system, where your actions are based on how many bars you can fill up over a period of time. The more bars you have, the bigger the attacks. Or you can kill up a bunch of smaller attacks to chain together for bigger combos. Possibly the biggest drawback of the battle system is the fact that if your main character who you're controlling dies, that's it. Your Phoenix Downs only work on the two additional characters, you can't use it on yourself. Which kind of does suck, but that gives you more strategy to think of making sure that you're alive while micromanaging their health as well. But also, if you deal enough damage to a person in a row, you send that monster into a stagger mode, which is basically your way of dealing triple or even sometimes just a little bit less into double damage, and that also stuns the monster and stops them from doing any sort of attacks or big moves at you for a period of time. The graphics for Final Fantasy XIII are some of the best on the console. A lot of people have said that the PS3 looks better, and it does, however that doesn't mean that they're terrible. Throughout the game, the frame rate is constant, barely ever going below 30 frames a second. And the texture is good, however some popping does occur towards the middle. Final Fantasy XIII is still a spectacle to see through the CG cutscenes and even just the in-game fighting, and it is still one of the better looking RPG games on the 360. A lot of the things that are normally a staple of a Final Fantasy game have either been streamlined or removed completely. Exploration has been trimmed to a minimal, and there are very few segments in the late game that are open to exploration. Otherwise, areas look big but are just narrow walkways. Shops are no longer in the game, as you just buy from save points to help reduce walking around and put you right on the right track. Because the shops are no longer in save points, cities are just cosmetic and don't serve huge purposes. There's no tile boards or sphere grids to work through while leveling up, as it's more straightforward and on a linear path. And the juggling during combat can get a little confusing, but is exciting when done right. The sound quality is astounding, and stuff like the battle theme will get stuck in your head for hours. Though Final Fantasy XIII can very well make fans upset with the lack of exploration, the linearity of the leveling system, and the fact that everything's been streamlined, it is countered by the fact that there is a very deep and engaging combat system, and the streamlined experience makes it a very focused 40 to 50 hours versus to a very open, boring 40 to 50 hours. The storyline, even though it's just like a standard Final Fantasy affair, is shown with great graphics, a good voice cast, and some of the best moments to grace RPG genres in a long time. Final Fantasy XIII is one of the better JRPGs that have come out in a long time, and through all of its faults is still fun to play. I give Final Fantasy XIII an 85. And if you'd like to check out any of our other reviews, previews, or features, head over to DOSReviews.com. Check them out and also drop by our store to see the deals we have on games and accessories. This is Doomraker signing out.